I was always curious of the Resident Evil series, despite my general disinterest in horror games. I guess it was the overall narrative that caught my eye, because it definitely wasn't the gameplay, especially its tank controls and fixed camera angles. Not only did it look antiquated, but also boring because it didn't leave the player with a lot of options for traversal or enemy encounters, making the game look repetitive. But I say that only from personal preference because I know the tank controls and fixed camera angles were intended to create an atmosphere of fear and claustrophobia to keep the player alert because they never know what monstrosity is lurking around the corner, waiting to add them to the body count. But when Resident Evil 2 Remake came out back in 2019, I jumped at the chance to play it as if I had something to prove that I was a man, not some scared little bubble-blowing double baby. Long story short, I had to change my pants. Twice. Especially when I came across this walking tower of fun. How many trench coats do you go through before you found the right one, you too tall bastard? Sorry. But despite making me scared of anyone taller than me, RE2 Remake was a great game, catching that same dreaded atmosphere it gave players back in 1998, if not enhancing it further. So when I heard that Resident Evil 4 was getting a remake, I was excited, though not surprised given the success of original RE4. With that being said, I've never played the original and I don't think it's fair to bring direct comparisons between the two. So these opinions are drawn from the remake's experience only, and any direct comparisons I do have will be very minor. This is Resident Evil 4, a review on the remake. First off, let's start with Leon, because he's clearly not the same man he was before. I mean, we all knew he was a badass when he first came on the scene, taking on the likes of Mr. X and other bioweapons on his first day on the job. But this Leon is on a whole nother level. So after RE2, Leon became a US government agent, and from that training, he's mastered several firearms and martial arts, making combat fun and very engaging. I tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than shooting enemies in the leg and giving them the meanest suplex or kicking them straight to the dome. Straight WWE in this bitch. Leon also comes with a combat knife that you can use to quickly take them out, like a hitman from the Continental Hotel. John Wick will be proud. Though I wish we had a dedicated dodge mechanic in this game, because there's not much you can do when you're backed into a corner, outside of simply jogging past them or parrying them with your knife. What? A parry system in a Resident Evil game? Yeah, so basically, whenever an enemy is about to hit you, you have a split second to parry and stagger them, leave them open to immediately take down, which also doubles as good crowd control since you hit multiple enemies at once with like one kick. And it's very satisfying to pull off. But it sucks that your only defensive option parries one enemy at a time, because like I said, you can get cornered pretty quickly by the amount of enemies jumping you every 10 minutes. I point this out only because RE3 allowed you to dodge, so I'm sure people who went from that game to RE4 were taken off guard. Oh well, I guess Leon has really bad knees. And I wish that wasn't the case, because unlike previous games that relied on stealth and tried to avoid conflict when possible, RE4 wants you to blast everyone in the face.
Pause.
Or giving them gut shots.
Pause.
Point is, they throw a lot of enemies at you, and we're not talking about your regular zombies from the classic games. No, we're dealing with gorditos. Ganados. I mean gorillas. Fuck, who hired this guy? Anyway, though the enemies appear to be normal villagers, you soon learn that they're infected with parasites known as las plagas. which is pretty much the T virus from RE1 or the G virus from RE2. But unlike those zombies, the villagers are smart enough to rush you, will move out of the way when you're aiming at them, and will jump you in coordinated fashion. And again, the game will throw groups of them at you as if you pulled up in the wrong neighborhood throwing up gang signs. The main thing I love about this game is how easy it is to pick up and play due to its more self-contained story. You see, even though this is the fourth main title in the series, it doesn't require you to play the previous games to enjoy the story, which is mainly about rescuing the president's daughter Ashley. A very straightforward plot, really. And you could argue that it doesn't add anything to the Resident Evil narrative about bioweapons, parasites, and shady organizations in their pursuit for ultimate power. And I would say you're right, despite its main title status. This is basically Madara putting you in a genjutsu during the war arc, because this is straight up anime filler. But putting all those plot points on the back burner is what makes this game stick out in the franchise and feel refreshing to veterans, while at the same time inviting newcomers with open arms like a priest on Sunday. And it's safe to say that was Capcom's intention, having people play and enjoy RE4 while encouraging them to play the previous mainline games for context and continuity. A high risk, high reward gamble now that I think about it for the original back in 2005. Because doing so could have backfired big time by alienating the fans with classic Resident Evil while turning newcomers away from giving the game a try because of it being a fourth main title. And usually, no one wants to start in the middle of a franchise. So it was very risky, but very intelligent as it paid off in the long run, nearly 20 years notwithstanding. So I never liked escort missions, and RE4 is nothing but an escort mission. But having Ashley wasn't too much of an issue because unlike her original counterpart, she doesn't have a health bar, so you don't have to waste any herbs on her. Nah, you just have to make sure she doesn't get kidnapped. But that's easier said than done because she gets scooped up faster than Princess Peach. It happens so often you would have thought it was a PSA commercial on Stranger Danger. Leon protecting the president's daughter, my ass. Give her a fucking gun, dude. You got like 20 of them in your back pocket. You can't spare one? Anyway, when she's quickly grabbed like a free sample at Costco's, you can save her by shooting or knifing the assailant, making him drop her. But despite not having a health bar, she can still die for some reason. You see, when Ashley gets hit, she falls to the ground incapacitated, and you gotta rush to pick her up. Otherwise, she gets hit again and she dies, leading to a game over. Usually, it's not bad with her tagging along, it only sucks when you're dealing with mobs of enemies, and that's when she's as much as a liability as a handicapped senior citizen in a tag team wrestling match. Like this one time when I was dealing with the twin chainsaw ladies, and I kid you not, I spent 25 minutes on that section alone because I was getting overwhelmed trying to protect her from the Ganados. It was either a chainsaw to the chest or Ashley getting smacked to death. There was just no in between. And it was only when I noticed an open locker to the side where you can hide Ashley in, did everything become a total cakewalk. And I feel like such a dumbass for not seeing it earlier. Like it's covered in bright yellow paint, how did I not see that? To be honest, I wanted to leave her there when the dust settled. For a game that's revved up its combat encounters, RE4 knows when to give the player a short breather before the next fight. I know, it sounds like a minor thing, but when you're getting jumped by angry villagers, fighting off suits of armor, getting spanked on the ass by parasites, trying to fight the Incredible Hulk's discount cousin, or being chased by a xenomorph in the dark, you appreciate them more and more. Too many action games have made the mistake of firing on all cylinders non-stop with no break in between to keep players engaged for the next 20 to 30 hours, much to the game's detriment. And I'm glad RE4 isn't a victim to that mindset, because sometimes you just gotta take things slow. Maybe I want to take in the sights. Maybe I want to play a few minigames. Maybe I want to do some side quests for some extra money. Yeah, okay, Ashley's somewhere in the island being touched by a creepy guy in a robe. No different than Sunday service at your local Catholic church. We should probably cut that out. But speaking of side quests, they're a great addition to the game. Occasionally, you'll get side quests in the form of these blue notes hanging around. You complete them for spinels, special currency that you use to buy certain items you can't buy with normal pesetas. And really, for a linear game, the side quests blend in pretty well because you don't have to go out of your way to complete them. Except for the occasional backtracking, and even then that's not an issue because it usually takes just a few minutes to complete. What I love about this mechanic is that it doesn't change the game's playstyle. It's well integrated in the overall gameplay, where you'll shoot blue medallions, kill certain enemies, or look for certain items to sell to the merchant, all require nothing more than shooting and exploration. Very simple and straightforward. Lastly, I don't have many gripes about the game, but I do have just maybe one or two. RE4 is really fun to play, but the standard difficulty makes the enemies trivial, breezing through them with a handful of bullets. But I feel hardcore mode overcompensates the issue by having the enemies bitch slap half your health away with just one attack. And yeah, they're supposed to be tougher than the local thug down the corner, but damn, they don't have to be two-piecing me no biscuit at the beginning of the game. I didn't care if they were bullet sponges due to abundant ammo drops. But I knew I was in for a bad time when the first boss in Separate Ways had me rethinking my life choices. The first boss, 2 minutes into the DLC mind you, cleaned out what little resources I had, limping around with no merchant nearby. This fight made me feel like a broke kid getting robbed for his lunch money. Like, you already took everything I had, you didn't have to beat my ass too. So, 4 hours into the DLC, I had to start over with the lower setting. Because I like having my sanity intact, thank you very much. And if I ever want to be put into a sane asylum, I'll play this masochist wet dream. I hate to see what professional mode looks like. With that being said, I wonder how players felt going from RE2 and 3 to RE4. To go from to
that's enough. Got me to use my knife again. Oh my gosh. Suplex!
It must have thrown them off at least a little bit. This one's a little shorter than my previous reviews because RE4's gameplay and presentation is much more straightforward than its predecessors. But that's what makes it a great game to start with if you're interested in the Resident Evil series, which was the intention, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks for letting me ramble on for a bit, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.